"You paid me, now do it." The pastor did as he was told, and then he got a wife. Pastor Samuel had always been a man of routine. Every morning he would wake before sunrise, quietly brew a cup of tea, and sit in his small study reviewing letters from the congregation or thinking about the day ahead. The little town where he served was calm and ordinary. Most people knew each other, and the rhythm of life was steady. Samuel liked it that way. He found comfort in structure and in helping people who trusted him with their problems, large or small. He had been a pastor for over a decade, and over the years he had seen countless faces walking through the doors of his modest office. Some came seeking advice about family troubles, others about their work or worries that kept them awake at night. Samuel had learned to listen carefully, giving guidance without judgment and offering comfort when words alone were not enough. He believed that helping people find their own way was far more important than telling them what to do. His calm voice and steady manner made people feel safe, even in their darkest moments. One Tuesday morning, just as the sun began to paint the sky in pale oranges and pinks, a man entered the office. Samuel looked up from his papers and noticed that the man did not have the usual nervous or hesitant expression people often carried when asking for advice. This man walked with purpose, carrying a small envelope in his hand. His eyes met Samuel's, steady and serious. "Good morning," the man said without hesitation. "Pastor Samuel?" "Yes," Samuel replied, rising from his chair. "How can I help you?" The man nodded and placed the envelope on Samuel's desk. "You paid me," he said simply, almost as if stating a fact. "Now do it." Samuel froze for a moment. He had no idea what the man meant. His mind raced with possibilities, none of them making complete sense. "I'm sorry," he said slowly. "I don't understand." "Paid you for what?" The man did not answer immediately. He seemed to expect this reaction, as if it had been rehearsed many times. Finally he spoke, his voice calm but firm. "I need you to help her." "Her?" Samuel repeated, his curiosity and caution rising together. "Who is she?" "She's a young woman," the man said. "She is struggling, and I want you to guide her. I want you to help her find stability in her life. I know you're a pastor, and I know you can help." Samuel looked down at the envelope. He carefully opened it and found money inside. It was not an enormous sum, but it was enough to make him pause. He had always done his work for the love of helping others, not for payment. Yet the money suggested a seriousness in the man's request. Samuel felt uneasy. Something about this arrangement did not feel right. He did not want to be paid for helping someone. It felt transactional, almost wrong. But he also understood that sometimes people asked for help in ways that were unusual or direct. "I don't usually accept payment for guidance," Samuel said, keeping his voice steady. "Helping people is not something I measure in money." The man nodded, as if he expected this response. "I understand. Think of it not as payment, but as a sign that I trust you to do this properly. I am asking you to help her, and I believe you can." Samuel considered the man's words carefully. He thought about the times he had refused help to someone simply because the situation was complicated or because the request did not make sense. He had always believed that life often presented challenges in unusual ways, and that he needed to approach each situation with care and patience. Still, the sense of uncertainty weighed on him. "Very well," Samuel said at last. "I will meet her and see what I can do. But I need to understand the full situation before making any promises." The man nodded once more and gave a small, approving smile. That is all I ask. You will know when you meet her." Then, without further explanation, he left the office. Samuel was left staring at the door, the envelope on his desk, and a mix of curiosity and worry stirring in his heart. For the rest of the morning, Samuel could not concentrate on his usual tasks. His thoughts returned again and again to the mysterious request. Who was this young woman? What was she going through? And why had the man come to him in such a direct way? He felt a strange mix of responsibility and anticipation. The thought of helping someone in a meaningful way, of truly making a difference in another person's life, was both exciting and intimidating. By midday, Samuel decided he could not delay. He carefully prepared a list of questions and ideas, thinking about how best to approach the situation. He reminded himself that his role was to guide, not to solve every problem. His job was to provide support, encouragement, and a safe space for the person to find their own answers. Later that afternoon, Samuel arrived at the small cafe where he had arranged to meet the young woman. The place was quiet, with only a few patrons sitting at tables, sipping coffee or reading newspapers. He found a corner table and waited, glancing at the door whenever someone entered. When she arrived, Samuel immediately noticed her nervousness. She moved slowly, her eyes scanning the room as if she feared being recognized. Samuel stood and offered a warm smile. "Hello, I'm Pastor Samuel. Please, have a seat." She hesitated, then sat down across from him. "I'm Maria," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. She seemed small and fragile, but there was something in her eyes that hinted at strength, a part of her story that Samuel could not yet see. Over the next hour, Samuel listened as Maria spoke about her life. She told him about the difficulties she faced at home, the challenges at work, and the loneliness that had grown in the gaps between her responsibilities. She spoke carefully, choosing her words as if measuring their weight, and Samuel listened without interruption. He asked gentle questions, not to pry, but to help her reflect on what she wanted and what she could do to improve her situation. As the conversation continued, Samuel realized that this was no ordinary meeting. Maria was not just seeking advice. She was looking for guidance and support to navigate the uncertainties of her life. He felt a sense of duty rise within him, not because of the payment, but because he knew he could help her see her own potential. He could offer the encouragement she needed to take the first steps toward change. By the end of their meeting, Samuel and Maria had agreed to continue working together. He promised to support her as she made small, meaningful changes in her life. Maria left the cafe with a sense of hope that she had not felt in a long time. Samuel remained seated for a few moments, reflecting on the unusual way their paths had crossed. What had started as a confusing, almost awkward request now felt like the beginning of something significant, a chance to make a real difference in someone's life. As Samuel walked back to his office, he thought about the day ahead. The envelope still rested in his coat pocket, a reminder of the strange start to this new journey. He knew that helping Maria would not be easy. It would require patience, understanding, and a willingness to guide without controlling. But he also felt a quiet excitement. Life, he realized, often brought unexpected challenges that could turn into meaningful opportunities. And in this moment, he sensed that something important was about to begin, not just for Maria, but for himself as well. My comrades, after their first meeting at the cafe, Pastor Samuel could not stop thinking about Maria. Her story had touched him deeply. He had met many people over the years, but there was something different about her. She seemed both fragile and strong at the same time. There was a quiet sadness in her eyes, but also a spark of determination that he sensed could grow with guidance. He knew that helping her would require patience and care, but he also felt a growing sense of purpose. The next day, Samuel prepared for their next meeting. He wanted to understand Maria's situation better so that he could give her meaningful support. He wrote down ideas and strategies to help her organize her life and regain confidence. He reminded himself that this was not about rushing or controlling her life. It was about walking beside her as she found her own path. When he arrived at the cafe that afternoon, Maria was already there, sitting at the same corner table as the day before. She smiled nervously when she saw him, and he returned the gesture warmly. "Good to see you again, Maria," he said. "I hope today we can talk more about how you want things to change in your life." Maria nodded, taking a deep breath. I think I need help, Pastor. I want to do better, but I don't know where to start." Samuel listened carefully. "That's okay," he said. "The first step is to take things one at a time. Change doesn't happen all at once, but every small step matters. Let's start by understanding what you want most and what is stopping you from reaching it." Maria hesitated for a moment, then spoke slowly. She told Samuel about her job at a small store, where she often felt overlooked and underappreciated. She spoke about her family, with whom she had complicated relationships. Some days she felt alone even when surrounded by people. She admitted that she often doubted herself and struggled to make decisions because she feared failure. Samuel nodded thoughtfully, offering words of encouragement along the way. "I understand," he said gently. "It sounds like you've been carrying a heavy load for a long time, but I believe you have the strength to handle it, one step at a time. We'll focus on practical things you can do, and we'll also work on building your confidence so you can feel more in control of your life."
Maria's eyes brightened slightly.
"I would like that," she said. "I don't want to feel lost anymore." Over the next few weeks, Samuel and Maria met regularly. They often met in the cafe, but sometimes they walked in the park nearby, where the fresh air and open space made their conversations feel lighter. Samuel helped Maria make a simple plan for her daily life, starting with small, achievable goals. He encouraged her to keep a journal, writing down her thoughts and feelings each day so she could see her progress. At first, Maria was hesitant. Writing her thoughts felt strange, even uncomfortable. But Samuel patiently explained that putting feelings into words could help her understand herself better and make clearer choices. Slowly, she began to enjoy the practice. She wrote about her hopes, her struggles, and the little victories she experienced each day. Samuel read her entries with care, offering gentle feedback and encouragement. In addition to writing, Samuel encouraged Maria to set practical goals. She began organizing her home and workspace, creating routines that made her days less chaotic. She focused on being on time for work, completing tasks efficiently, and communicating more confidently with colleagues. Samuel praised her for each improvement, reminding her that change was a process and that progress, however small, was important. During this time, Samuel noticed something changing in Maria. Her nervousness was slowly being replaced by a quiet confidence. She started smiling more easily and spoke with more clarity about her thoughts and feelings. Samuel felt proud, but he also knew that the journey was far from over. He continued to guide her with patience, knowing that true growth took time. One afternoon, as they walked in the park, Maria shared something personal. "Pastor Samuel," she said hesitantly, "I've never had someone really listen to me like this before. Most people just tell me what to do or ignore me. But you make me feel like what I say matters." Samuel smiled warmly. "I'm glad to hear that, Maria. Listening is one of the most important things we can do for each other. When we feel heard, we can understand ourselves better and make better choices." I'm here to listen and support you, not to judge or control." Maria looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and relief. "Thank you," she said softly. "I feel like I can start over, even if it's just a little bit at a time." As the days passed, their meetings became more than just guidance sessions. They began to share small joys and quiet moments together. Samuel learned that Maria loved simple things, reading stories, observing people in the park, and trying new foods at the small cafe. He began to notice the little ways she brightened when she talked about her interests, and he encouraged her to pursue them. Maria, in turn, noticed Samuel's patience, his kindness, and the way he always seemed to understand without judging. One day, Maria mentioned a childhood dream she had never pursued. She had always wanted to learn to paint, but had been discouraged by the belief that she was not talented. Samuel encouraged her to try again, reminding her that the goal was not perfection, but expression and enjoyment. With his support, Maria began painting small sketches, which brought her joy and a sense of accomplishment. Samuel admired her efforts and celebrated each small step she took. As their relationship grew, Samuel felt a sense of responsibility mixed with genuine care. He realized that helping Maria was no longer just about fulfilling a request. It had become meaningful to him personally. He began to understand that guiding someone through life's challenges could create a bond that was deep and lasting. Maria, too, began to trust him in ways she had never trusted anyone before. She felt safe sharing her fears, hopes, and dreams with him, knowing that he would listen without judgment. One afternoon, as they sat in the cafe sipping tea, Samuel reflected on how far Maria had come in such a short time. "You've made great progress," he said kindly. "I know it hasn't been easy, but you've shown courage and determination." Maria smiled, a little shyly. "I couldn't have done it without you," she admitted. "You made me believe I could do more than I thought." Samuel shook his head slightly. "It's not just me, Maria. It's you, too. You took the steps. You chose to keep going even when it was hard. I just helped you see what was possible." Maria nodded thoughtfully. She felt a warmth in her heart that she had not experienced in a long time. Hope, trust, and a sense of belonging. She realized that her life was beginning to change, and it was because someone had seen potential in her when she could not see it herself. By the end of the second month, Maria had grown more confident, both in her personal life and at work. She had started talking more openly with her family, repairing relationships that had been strained. She had taken charge of her daily routines and was slowly learning to trust herself. Samuel watched these changes with quiet satisfaction, knowing that their efforts were making a real difference. Though their relationship began as a request from a stranger with an envelope of money, it had evolved into something much more meaningful. Samuel felt a sense of purpose he had not anticipated, and Maria felt a growing sense of independence and hope. Both of them knew that this journey was just beginning, but the foundation they were building was strong. They had learned to trust, to listen, and to support each other in ways that went beyond the original arrangement. And as they left the cafe that afternoon, walking side by side in the late afternoon sunlight, Samuel realized that helping Maria was no longer just about guidance. It was about connection. Life had brought them together in a strange and unexpected way, but it was the bond they had formed through trust, patience, and care that would shape the days to come. As the weeks turned into months, Maria's life began to shift in ways she had never imagined. What had started as simple guidance from Pastor Samuel was becoming something far deeper. Each meeting, each conversation, each small step of progress made a difference, not just for Maria, but for Samuel as well. He watched with quiet pride as she slowly began to regain confidence in herself and he realized that this connection was becoming a meaningful part of both their lives. Samuel continued to meet Maria regularly, sometimes in the cafe where they first met, other times walking in the nearby park or sitting in quiet corners of the church. Their conversations grew longer and more personal. Maria started opening up about her dreams, her fears, and the mistakes she had made in the past. She spoke about her longing to do something meaningful, to have her own life shaped by her choices, rather than by circumstances. Samuel listened carefully, never judging, always encouraging. One afternoon, Maria shared a particularly difficult memory. She spoke about her childhood, about the times she had felt ignored or misunderstood. Her voice trembled at first, but Samuel stayed silent, letting her speak until the tears came and then passed. "It's okay," he said softly, placing a comforting hand on the table. "Your feelings are valid, Maria. You are stronger than you realize," Maria nodded, wiping her eyes. "I don't want to be weak anymore," she admitted. "I just want to find a way to live without feeling scared all the time." "You are not weak," Samuel said firmly. "Everyone feels fear. Everyone struggles. The strength is in continuing, in taking steps even when life is hard. You have that strength. You are proving it every day." Over the next few weeks, Samuel and Maria focused on practical steps to help her regain control of her life. He encouraged her to take on small responsibilities that challenged her in positive ways. She began volunteering at a local community center, helping children with reading and art projects. At first, she felt nervous, unsure if she was capable, but Samuel reminded her that learning and growth came from trying, not from being perfect. Maria's confidence grew with each small success. The children she worked with looked up to her, and their smiles and laughter became a source of joy and motivation. Samuel noticed that Maria walked taller, spoke more clearly, and approached challenges with a calm determination he had not seen before. Her laughter, once rare and hesitant, now came more naturally. It was a sound that brought warmth to Samuel as well, a reminder that his guidance was having a real impact. One evening, Maria confided in Samuel about her work situation. "Pastor," she said, "I think I want to ask for more responsibility at my job. I want to show them I can handle it, but I'm afraid they might say no." Samuel smiled gently. "It's natural to feel nervous. But think about everything you've accomplished recently. You've faced challenges, learned new skills, and grown in confidence. Asking for more responsibility is a step forward, and even if they say no, you will have taken the chance. That is what matters." Encouraged by his words, Maria approached her manager the next day and asked if she could take on a small leadership role for an upcoming project. To her surprise and delight, the manager agreed. The sense of achievement she felt afterward was immense. When she met Samuel later that week, she could hardly contain her excitement. "I did it!" she exclaimed. "They trusted me to lead the project. I can't believe I actually did it." Samuel smiled, pride shining in his eyes. "I knew you could. You just needed to believe in yourself. That belief was already inside you, Maria. I just helped you see it." As Maria's confidence grew, so did the bond between her and Samuel. They began sharing more than just advice and guidance. They laughed together, discussed books they enjoyed, and even debated small ideas about life and faith. Samuel found himself looking forward to their meetings more than he had expected. There was a warmth and understanding between them that went beyond the simple teacher-student dynamic. One day, Maria confided a personal dream she had carried for years. "I've always wanted to start writing," she said softly. "Stories, essays, anything that lets me share my thoughts. But I've never tried because I was afraid no one would care about what I have to say." Samuel encouraged her wholeheartedly. "Start small," he advised. "Write a little each day. Don't worry about what others think. Writing can help you understand yourself, and in time, others will appreciate your work too. The important thing is that you begin." Taking his advice, Maria began to write daily. She shared small excerpts with Samuel, who read them carefully and offered gentle feedback. He praised her creativity and encouraged her to continue exploring her voice. Slowly, Maria began to feel that her words mattered, that she had something to offer the world beyond her daily struggles. The quiet strength and patience Samuel showed had a profound effect on Maria. She learned not only practical skills but also life lessons. She discovered that confidence was built through small, consistent efforts, that failure was not something to fear, and that asking for help did not make her weak. It made her human. Samuel's calm guidance became a steady anchor in her life, helping her navigate challenges she once felt too scared to face. Even as Maria grew stronger and more independent, Samuel found that he too was changing. He realized that helping her had brought new depth to his own life. He appreciated the joy in her small victories, felt pride in her accomplishments, and experienced a warmth he had not anticipated in their shared moments. Their bond was one of mutual respect, trust, and understanding, formed through patience, care, and shared growth. One afternoon, as they walked along the path near the park, Maria spoke thoughtfully. "I don't know how to thank you, Pastor Samuel. You've helped me more than I can say. I feel different, stronger, happier, like I can actually handle life now." Samuel smiled gently. "You did this, Maria. I just helped you see what was already inside you. Remember, life will still have its challenges, but now you have the tools to face them. You've learned to trust yourself, and that is the most important lesson of all." Maria looked at him with gratitude and a quiet admiration. "I think I'm starting to understand that," she said. "And I think I've also learned that having someone who believes in you, someone who listens and guides you, it really makes a difference." Samuel nodded. "It does. Support and guidance can change lives, but the courage to take steps forward has to come from you. And you've done that, Maria. You've truly grown." As the sun began to set that day, casting golden light over the park, Maria felt a sense of calm she had never known before. Her life was not perfect, and there were still challenges ahead, but she now had confidence, direction, and hope. Samuel walked beside her quietly, feeling a similar sense of fulfillment. Their journey together was far from over, but both of them understood that this was a turning point. They had built a strong foundation of trust, respect, and shared effort that would carry them through the days to come. And so, life moved forward in small but meaningful steps. Maria continued to grow, gaining confidence in herself, her work, and her relationships. Samuel continued to guide, listen, and encourage, finding joy in seeing her flourish. Together they learned that patience, care, and consistent effort could transform lives in ways neither had fully expected. Months had passed since Maria first met Pastor Samuel. In that time she had grown in confidence, taken on responsibilities at work, and even begun exploring her creative side with writing and painting. Samuel watched her progress with pride, but he also noticed something else. Their connection was growing deeper. It was no longer just about guidance or mentorship. They shared moments that felt personal and meaningful, moments that went beyond lessons or advice. One afternoon, Samuel invited Maria to help organize a small community event at the local center. It was a modest gathering meant to bring neighbors together and celebrate small achievements. like children's artwork and local projects. Maria hesitated at first, unsure if she could manage the responsibility. But Samuel encouraged her, saying, "You've grown so much. This is a chance to show others what you're capable of and to help make something beautiful happen." Maria agreed, and over the next few days she worked tirelessly. She coordinated volunteers, arranged tables, and helped with decorations. Samuel observed quietly, offering advice when needed, but mostly letting her take the lead. He watched as Maria interacted with others, handling challenges calmly and confidently. She was no longer the timid, uncertain woman who had walked into his office months ago. She was capable, organized, and inspiring. On the day of the event, everything went smoothly. The children's laughter filled the hall, families shared food and stories, and the community felt a warmth that came from shared effort and joy. Samuel noticed Maria glowing with pride as she watched the event unfold. She had taken ownership, and the success of the day was a testament to her growth. After the event, as they walked home together in the late afternoon sun, Maria spoke quietly. "I never imagined I could do something like this," she said. "I've always doubted myself, but today I felt like I really mattered." Samuel smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "You did matter, Maria, and you still do. You just had to see it for yourself." They walked in silence for a while, enjoying the calm of the evening. Samuel realized that he, too, was feeling something unexpected. He had always cared for the people he helped, but with Maria, it was different. He felt a warmth and connection that went beyond mentorship. Her presence brought him joy in a way he had not anticipated. He found himself thinking of her during quiet moments, wondering how she was doing, and feeling genuinely happy when he saw her succeed. Over the next few weeks, their bond grew stronger. They continued to meet regularly, not just to discuss goals and progress, but to share stories, ideas, and dreams. Samuel encouraged Maria to keep writing and painting, and she shared her creations with him proudly. Each piece she created showed growth and expression, and Samuel celebrated each one with genuine admiration. One day, Maria surprised Samuel by asking if he would join her for a small exhibition of her artwork at the community center. She had invited a few friends and neighbors wanting to share her progress. Samuel agreed, feeling honored to be part of this milestone. When he arrived, he saw Maria glowing with nervous excitement, her eyes bright and hopeful. She introduced him to the small audience, and he listened as she spoke about her work, her journey, and the support she had received along the way. After the exhibition, they walked home together, the air filled with the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. Samuel could not help but speak his thoughts aloud. "Maria, you've grown so much. I see a strength in you that is remarkable. Not just in what you do, but in who you are becoming." Maria looked at him, her expression soft and thoughtful. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said. "You've helped me see what I'm capable of. You've guided me, encouraged me, and trusted me even when I didn't trust myself. I didn't create this change, Maria. I didn't create this change, Maria. You did? I just helped you see what was already inside you. But I have to admit, I am proud of you, in more ways than one." Maria felt a warmth in her chest, a quiet understanding that their relationship was changing. She had always respected Samuel, admired his patience and wisdom, but now she realized she felt a connection that went deeper. It was not just trust and respect, it was something personal, a bond that brought comfort, inspiration, and a sense of belonging. A few days later, as they walked in the park, Maria spoke hesitantly. "Pastor Samuel, I hope I'm not saying too much, but I feel like we've grown close." I, I really value your presence in my life, more than I expected." Samuel paused, taking in her words. He looked at her, seeing her sincerity and honesty. "Maria, I value your presence too," he said softly. "I care for you deeply, and I have come to realize that our connection is special. It is more than I anticipated when we first met." Maria smiled shyly, relief and happiness in her eyes. "I feel the same," she said. "I wasn't sure how to say it, but I think we both know it now." From that day on, their bond was no longer just about mentorship. They shared moments of genuine friendship, laughter, and quiet reflection. Samuel encouraged Maria to continue pursuing her passions, and she, in turn, supported him in his work with the community. They began to see each other as partners in growth and life, learning from each other while offering care, understanding, and companionship. Samuel noticed how Maria's confidence and creativity inspired others around her. She became a source of encouragement for neighbors and friends, showing kindness and leadership in her own way. Samuel felt proud not just as a guide, but as someone who had witnessed her transformation firsthand. One afternoon, as they sat in the cafe reflecting on the past months, Maria shared a thought that had been on her mind. "I used to feel so lost, Pastor Samuel, but now I feel like I have a purpose, like I can make a difference. And you've been part of that. You've helped me believe in myself." Samuel reached across the table and smiled. "You always had that potential, Maria. You just needed a little guidance, a little encouragement. And now you're showing the world what you can do. I'm proud of you, more than I can say." Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude and connection. She realized that their journey together had changed both of them. Samuel had helped her grow, but she had also touched him in ways he had not expected. The quiet moments, the laughter, the shared experiences, they had created a bond built on trust, respect, and care. As the sun began to set that evening, casting a golden glow over the cafe, Samuel and Maria walked home together. There was a sense of calm and contentment in the air. They knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but they also knew that they would face them together, supporting and inspiring each other along the way. Opening his eyes, for the first time, Samuel realized that helping Maria had brought unexpected joy and fulfillment into his own life. He had entered this journey to guide her, but he was leaving it with a deeper understanding of connection, friendship, and the ways that human lives could intertwine meaningfully. Maria, too, felt a quiet certainty that her life was moving in a positive direction, and that this bond with Samuel was a source of strength and happiness. And so, in the glow of the evening, they continued walking side by side, each step reflecting the growth, trust, and care they had built together. Their journey had reached a turning point, a moment of clarity where both of them understood that life could bring unexpected blessings when people supported, listened, and cared for each other with honesty and compassion. Time had passed since Maria and Pastor Samuel had reached the turning point in their relationship. What began as a strange request and an unexpected meeting had grown into something deeper, something neither of them had anticipated. They had spent months learning from each other, supporting one another, and discovering the quiet joys that came from shared understanding and trust. Now, the small town watched as their bond began to flourish in a new and meaningful way. Maria had continued to grow in confidence and independence. Her work at the store had improved, and she had begun mentoring others in the community, offering guidance and encouragement, much like Samuel had offered her. She even started hosting small workshops for young women, teaching them how to take small steps toward their goals, and sharing the lessons she had learned about trust, patience, and perseverance. Samuel attended some of these workshops not only to support her but also to quietly marvel at how much she had changed. One afternoon, as they walked through the park together, Maria spoke thoughtfully. "Pastor Samuel," she said softly, "I feel like I've grown so much in these months, but I also feel like there's something more between us now. I can't explain it fully, but I feel it." Samuel paused, looking at her. Her eyes held honesty and warmth, and he felt a truth in her words that he could not ignore. "Maria," he said gently, "I feel the same way. Our connection has grown beyond guidance or mentorship. I care for you deeply, and I've come to realize that it's more than I ever expected when we first met." Maria smiled, relief and happiness shining in her face. "I think I've been afraid to admit it," she said. "But I'm glad we both feel the same." From that day forward, their relationship took on a new dimension. They spent more time together outside of their regular meetings, enjoying quiet walks, shared meals, and simple conversations about life and dreams. Samuel introduced Maria to friends and neighbors as someone special to him, and Maria introduced him to her small circle of acquaintances, sharing the joy of their growing partnership. The idea of marriage was never forced or rushed. It grew naturally, as both of them realized that their bond was steady, supportive, and filled with mutual respect. Samuel, who had always approached life with calm patience, saw in Maria not just a person he had helped, but a partner who inspired him, challenged him gently, and brought joy into his days. Maria, in turn, saw in Samuel a steady presence, someone who listened without judgment, encouraged her growth, and cared deeply for her well-being. One evening, under the soft glow of a setting sun, Samuel took Maria's hand as they walked through the quiet streets of their town. "Maria," he said softly, "I've spent so much time helping others, guiding them and seeing them grow. But you've shown me something I never expected. You've brought joy, hope, and a sense of partnership into my life. I would like us to continue this journey together, not just as friends, but as partners in life. Will you marry me?" Maria felt her heart swell with happiness. She had grown in confidence, learned to trust herself, and now she trusted Samuel completely. "Yes," she whispered, tears of joy in her eyes. "Yes, I will." Their wedding was simple and heartfelt. It took place in the small church where Samuel had served for years, surrounded by friends, family, and neighbors who had watched their journey with admiration. The ceremony was filled with warmth and laughter, quiet tears, and heartfelt smiles. Maria walked down the aisle with a calm grace, reflecting the strength and confidence she had gained over the months. Samuel stood at the altar, his eyes filled with pride and love, waiting for the woman who had changed his life in ways he had never imagined. After the ceremony, they celebrated with the people who mattered most to them. It was not a grand affair, but it was perfect in its simplicity. Friends and neighbors shared stories, music filled the air, and there was a general sense of joy and togetherness. Maria and Samuel moved through the crowd hand in hand, smiling, talking, and quietly reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this moment. In the weeks that followed, their life together settled into a comfortable rhythm. They continued their work in the community, often collaborating on small projects, mentoring, and supporting others as they had supported Maria. Their partnership was not about control or dominance. It was about mutual respect, understanding, and shared purpose. They celebrated each other's successes, offered comfort during challenges, and continued to grow together in ways that enriched both of their lives. Samuel often reflected on the strange beginning of their story. A stranger had walked into his office, handed him an envelope of money, and made a request that seemed unusual at the time. Now, looking at Maria by his side, He realized that every step of their journey had been meaningful. The money, the request, and the initial uncertainty had led to a bond built on trust, patience, and care. Life had a way of bringing unexpected blessings to those who were open to them. Maria, too, thought about their journey often. She remembered the first meeting in the cafe, the quiet walks in the park, the small successes she had achieved, and the guidance Samuel had provided. She realized that her life had been transformed not only by her own efforts, but by the unwavering support and encouragement of a man who had believed in her from the very beginning. Their story was a reminder that even unexpected beginnings could lead to meaningful and lasting happiness. As months turned into years, Samuel and Maria continued to thrive together. Their bond grew stronger with every shared experience, every challenge overcome, and every joyful moment celebrated. They were partners not just in marriage, but in life itself, supporting each other, learning from each other, and inspiring those around them. One quiet evening, as they sat together on the porch of their small home, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Samuel spoke softly. "Maria, I never expected that a simple request would bring me such joy. You've changed my life in ways I could not have imagined. I am grateful every day for you." Maria rested her head on his shoulder, smiling. "And I am grateful for you, Samuel. You've helped me grow, guided me with patience, and shown me what trust and care really mean. I feel complete with you by my side." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the sounds of the evening, feeling the warmth of their partnership, and reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. Life was not perfect, and challenges still came, but they faced them together, strengthened by trust, love, and shared purpose. Their story became an example in their community of how life could take unexpected turns, how guidance and support could lead to growth, and how meaningful connections could develop in surprising ways. People admired the way Samuel and Maria complemented each other, how they inspired those around them, and how they built a life filled with compassion, respect, and love. And so Pastor Samuel and Maria continued their journey together, hand in hand. What began with a strange request and an envelope of money had transformed into a partnership grounded in trust, understanding, and genuine affection. Their life together was filled with quiet joys, meaningful work, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that they had found not only guidance and growth, but also a love that would endure for a lifetime. In the end, the unexpected request that had started it all became a symbol of life's surprises and the beautiful ways that trust, patience, and care could change lives forever. Samuel and Maria had discovered that when people come together with honesty, compassion, and an open heart, even the most unusual beginnings could lead to happiness, fulfillment, and a shared journey full of hope.